Hi everyone. Today we'll go over chapter 12, which is about enhancing decision making. So decision making is very important for organizations because that affects the bottom line, which is profitability. So decisions need to be of high quality, and that's why you might have noticed Steve Jobs always wearing the same clothes over and over all years, as you can see here in the graph on the right side. And the reason one time I read about it is that he is wearing the same clothes because he doesn't want to exert his decision-making energy on trivial decisions such as which type of clothes should I wear. So instead, he's wearing the same clothes all over. That way, he doesn't have to make that decision about which clothes to do. And that's why he is one of the most innovative individuals in the history of the world that we will never forget. So again, this is just an illustration why decision making is very important. And as you can see here, business value of improved decision making can be quantified in terms of dollars. So for example here, improving hundreds of thousands of small decisions add up to a large annual value. So let's look at this example here for the first one, which is allocating support to most valuable customers by an account manager. If the number of decisions they do per year is 12, and the estimated value for the firm from each single improved decision is 100,000, then you multiply 12 times 100, that will give us 1,200,000. So let's look at an example. If we have a decision that can be done every day, an improved decision that can be done every day throughout the year, and the worth of that decision is $100. So how much is that going to be worth, right? So you multiply $100 times 365, and that will give you the annual value of that decision, right? Which is around 365,000, right? So you get the idea about the value of decisions. And there are three types of decisions when it comes to decision making. So we have unstructured. So unstructured decision, this is when the problem that is novel, it is new, and it is not well understood. It's not very well explained. Then we call it unstructured. It's not repetitive. It's not routine decision or problem. Then we call it unstructured. On the other hand, for structured decision making, refers to repetitive and routine types of problems or decisions, right? So those are the decisions that we make every day, and we already know if this, then that, right? And then we have semi-structured type of decision making, which involves a component from each, right? It involves components from the structured decision making and from the unstructured decision making. So that's why we call it semi-structured. And let's go through some examples and which type of level of management uses which type of decision making. So senior managers here includes the C-suite manager, chief executive officer, chief information officer, and so on, right? The financial officer and so on. So senior managers, they make many unstructured decisions. So what are some examples of unstructured decisions is to start or to get into a new market, right? That's an unstructured decision. And for that decision, we need to, or the senior managers, they need to have access to information from the organizational performance, information about the organization performance, information or reports from the government, industry reports. They need to consult with other managers. They also need to use their gut feeling when they make that decision when it is unstructured, right? Or if they decide that they want to introduce a new product line. So that's another example of unstructured decision, right? So for middle managers, they make more kind of semi-structured, you can say, decisions that have both. So one example of that is, so for example, the order fulfillment is going down or decreasing. For example, last month in Kansas City. So then what the middle manager will need access to information, structured information from within the organization, such as from the enterprise resource planning information. They will also need to have access to unstructured information, which can be interviewing employees there in Kansas City or looking at the economic reports there in that locality. That's what we mean here by semi-structured. There is structured part of it, there is unstructured part of it. And then we have operational managers, frontline employees, right? Rank file employees. So they use structured decisions. So an example of that is that whether to pay an employee an overtime if they exceeded 8 hours a day of working per day. So then if they work more than 8 hours, then they get paid overtime, which let's say it is 1.5 the regular times the regular rate. Right? So this is a great graph that shows us the level of management and the type of decisions, and gives us examples of decisions that each type is making. So decision-making process, I actually learned this when I was doing my undergrad in information systems in Kansas, where I learned it actually from a management class. So I always follow this process of decision-making. Whatever big decision I make, whether I accept a position, for example, at a certain university, I do pros and cons, and I follow those actually steps. So the first step is intelligence. Intelligence, from its name, you define the problem and you collect related facts about that problem. So let's say that you are you are about to graduate from your undergrad program and you want to get into the Master of Science in Business Analytics, but you are not sure which university you want to go to for your MSBA program, right? So the problem here is a decision about which university I should go for my MSBA program, right? So that's the problem. And then you need to collect facts about this problem. So in terms of what the length of the program, is it 1 year, 2 years, about the quality of the program, is it AACSB accredited school of business that I'm gonna get, what are the classes, are they more into the data science classes that they cover, is it more into kind of not related to analytics classes, what is the cost of that program, is it as 15,000 and around 15,000, which is at UTRGV, or it is more than 45 to 60,000 UTD or UT Austin. So what is the, in terms of convenience, is it close for me? Do I need to do it online or in person? So there are so many parameters that you need to, or facts that you need to collect for that decision, right? So that's the first stage. Second stage is the design, where you identify alternative solutions. So one solution is UTRGV, and then you go through your parameters, the pros and cons about UTRGV, and then you go the pros and cons about Our Lady of the Lake, the pros and cons about UT Dallas, and then you decide based on these facts and those alternative solutions you have identified, what is the best solution that you want to take. You go, implement it, test it. You like it, great. You didn't like it, you can always go back to, to the intelligence and go and decide to go somewhere else, right? So, but this is the process of decision making. You can use it for any decision that you want to make, right? Whether to accept a job, whether to go, do anything, or open a business, and so on. And this is the data flow diagram that you can follow for simplicity. So managerial roles. So information systems can only assess some of the roles played by managers. So the classical model of management, which defines the roles of managers in the organizations, identifies 5 functions as the roles of managers, which include planning, organizing, coordinating, deciding, and controlling. Unfortunately, this classical model is not clear about what it really entails in planning, what it really entails in organizing and coordinating, and it's not clearly defined, what components include in each of those, right? As a result, scientific behavioral scientists came up with these contemporary behavioral models. That is, managers perform a great deal of work at unrelenting pace. That means more than 600 activities daily. That's what managers do. Activities are fragmented, and that means each of those fragmented activities lasts for less than 9 minutes. They prefer current and specific ad hoc information. They don't like historical reports that are sitting there in the archives. They need real-time data. And we have done some ad hoc queries that you run using SQL, right, in the class. And they prefer oral communications rather than written, because in oral communication you can get answers quickly, you can get questions answered quickly, and this will help in decision making, right? And then again, the Mintzbergs summarized the decision making roles into 3 roles of managers: interpersonal roles, informational roles, and decisional roles, right? So those are the 3 roles. So what entails, or what is in each one of those roles, is the figurehead. So managers act as figurehead for the organization. So basically they act, or they represent the company for the outside world. So they can do some activities such as giving awards to their employees. They act as leaders, in which they motivate, they support their subordinates. They act as liaison in the interpersonal role dimension, where they are the middle person between managers, or they are the middle person between employees. For the informational role, they are the nerve center, so they are the contact, or they receive critical and important information, and they disseminate that important information to the other units or within the organization, or to the people who need it. And they act as a spokesperson for the organization. That means they, if there is a breach of, security breach, they are the ones who talk to the press, or they talk in webinars, right? And then they are also, they have the decisional roles, which is like entrepreneur. They are the ones who initiate new activities. For example, initiate a new line of product. They design the long-term goals for the organization, right? And they initiate if going into a new market, right? That's what we mean here by entrepreneur. Disturbance handler. So if there is a breach of security breach, or there is a disaster, right? Or there is a strike, they handle that disturbance, right? And resource allocator. So managers, they allocate resources based on the needs. So for example, some employees, accountants, they need to learn how to use AI, right? So they allocate resources for taking those employees to learn AI in a workshop. They take care of their travel, their hotel, and so on, in order to train them. And then they act as negotiators as well, in which they negotiate between conflicting parties. They mediate conflicts as well.